So I got this comment yesterday, and I am so very, very happy that a teenager is watching my stories, my videos. And it is not my intention on making a teenager wrong and finger wag. This girl is young enough to literally be my daughter. And I would never want to do all of that and then make a young woman who could possibly learn some things on my video turn away and just go the other way because of mean-spirited comments. So that is literally not my point. I just want to highlight the issues that go along with being a trad wife, the traps that go along with it, and steps that women and girls should do to mitigate their risk. I've seen far too many stories of what happens when a woman has no plan B, C, D, G, all of the letters. I've seen what happens. So I want to talk a little bit about this. This girl says, I'm a 15-year-old girl. I personally don't like the loud girl boss feminism. I want to get married, have children, and work a quiet job for home. I don't want to bust my butt at work and 50-50. I see that as men wanting to get away with not being providers and real men. And I don't need a low effort 50-50 man. I want to marry a man who values family and takes pride in himself for having a family, helps around the house on off days, active in children's lives physically and mentally, keeping me safe, happy, and healthy. The way things are going with these boys and young men is a product of their own doing. I don't think Gen Z or young boys and men care about themselves, so they want girls and women to baby and pity them and build them up mentally when all they've done is tear us down. Now, that middle part, I completely agree with, but I'm more talking about the top part. And what I want people to know, and what I have seen shared, like a TikTok creator said yesterday, who you married is not who you typically divorce. So those people are typically very different people. And so many women get on these apps daily and say all the time how these men are not participating in the home life. They're not doing the child rearing, any of the child rearing, how everything just falls on the woman, everything. And it's like it, people seem to want to think that being a homemaker is so much easier in comparison than going to work and all of that. But it really isn't. And more women are sharing their stories on TikTok and various places to where you can see and understand. So I want this video to be women's voices speaking on what it's like to be a homemaker. So this is what I said to her. You're 15. I can tell you that everything I just knew I knew at 15 changed with life experience. However, you decide to live your life. I hope you still focus on your education and having a backup plan, because I've seen way too many stories go left from women who settled into being homemakers with no education or career experience at all. I don't know if you've been in this space very long, but I share stories all day from the global women perspective. I totally hope that you stick around and learn from what other women have been through. And I said, loud feminists are loud, usually out of passion and wanting to help women and girls. And she says, Bourbon Bougie, of course I'll get an education. By loud feminist, I mean girl boss. I don't need a man 50-50, not valuing themselves as literal creators of life. They are cheating themselves out of an easy life. That whole easy life thing is beyond what a homemaker is. They are cheating themselves out of an easy life with a supportive partner and choosing to fight with low effort men in person and online who honestly don't care about us, give into capitalism and modern patriarchal tactics of cheating women out of both our money and unpaid labor, letting men continue being lazy and mistreat us. Please understand, 15-year-old, that this whole patriarchal tactics of um, they've been using these forever. And the way they have branded homemaking as easy has been going on forever. And nothing about being a homemaker is easy. And that's what I said to her in my comment. Have you talked to any homemakers that said this is an easy life? I'm a content creator and make money now, but I've been home with the kids since they were born. There have been many ways that I'll describe being a stay at home mom, and easy ain't one. I went back to work part time for a few months, and that was like a break. I was skipping into work. Anywho, I hope that you're open minded and stick around and listen to women's experiences and make it a good one. I wanted to put that out there because making someone wrong, finger wagging is not how you get people to trust you enough to listen to other perspectives. You can tell that she has embodied many of the negative things that people say about women, and she is espousing that. But hopefully, more and more teenagers can come see that we're just wanting women to set themselves up for success. And then I got another good comment that relates to the similar. This woman says, 2 years ago, I was at the courthouse getting a stay away order. The lady in front of me was a middle aged woman who was disabled, and her husband was trying to do everything in his power to leave her nothing after the divorce. She was a stay at home wife and had little work experience and was pleading that to the judge. Scared me straight about marriage. And my social worker told me to make sure that I stick it through with nursing school and not to depend too much on a man, let alone anyone, to feed myself. Just the thought of being in her position at 50 plus, disabled, no work experience, motivated me harder in college. Please understand that most of us that are speaking because we have seen the negative things that happen when a woman just relies on a man. And it is a saying, the person who feeds you can starve you. So if you are relying on someone for your everything, they can pull that away at any time, that you're not walking the straight and narrow in their mind. All right, ladies, if you have any words of wisdom, please drop it here. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So, I've already shared some of this woman's story, but I'm going to share more of it because it is so important. She got married at 19 years old. So, she has a really good understanding of what it means and the dangers of getting married so young.
I think this highlights on something really important about this whole conversation we're having about like ex-trad wives and how that can put you in a really bad situation if something happens to your husband, like he divorces you or he dies or anything like that happens to your marriage. She makes a point that like other trad wives would tell her that she should have chosen better and that she's jealous. And I think that highlights a big thing. Women will be punished for the outcome of their decision, no matter what happens. No matter what, it is your fault. So if you are really independent, if you focus on your career and your education and you have your own money, there are going to be people who tell you, like, well, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? It's selfish of you to put your career over your kids, they'll say. Oh, you should submit to your husband. You don't need to work if he can take care of you. People will say that. At the same time, if you are a trad wife, if you are a stay-at-home mom, if you do make those sacrifices and you stay home with your kids and then something happens, like you get divorced, then it's, oh, you should have chosen a better person. Oh, you should have known this was going to happen. Why didn't you set something back for yourself? Why didn't you? No matter what happens, it is your fault. That's what this patriarchal society has taught. That if your husband leaves you for whatever reason, it's your fault. You should have chosen better. It's your fault that you trusted him, essentially, is what they're saying. Like, it's your fault for trusting someone. So you should have known this was going to happen to you. You know, the person that you married is not the person who you divorced. No one, when they got married to this person, was like, he's going to abandon me. He's going to stab me in the back. I'm going to set myself up for failure. Nobody thought that. You know, when you got married, he was sweet. He loved you. He was going to take care of you. And he said, I'm going to take care of you. And because he was your husband and you loved him, you trusted him. Like, it's not your fault, ever, when somebody else treats you badly. And I think that the patriarchy in our society teaches us that it's always our fault. You should choose better men. You should have saved money. You should have done this. You should have done that. When the fact of the matter is, this other person hurt you. And that's that. I get so many comments like this, which is honestly a little bit frustrating. Like, I'm trying to be real. I get so many comments, why did you keep having kids with my ex-husband? And this whole thing is that we eventually got divorced and it became this whole mess. He was my husband. Like, we were married to each other. Like, that's the answer. He was my husband. We were married. I was a stay-at-home mom. Like, for the amount of time that we were married, he was supporting me. Like, I stayed home and took care of our kids as a primary parent in a stay-at-home mom situation. And like, he paid all of our bills. He supported our lifestyle. Like, I think people get this misconception of like, that my whole marriage was terrible and unhappy, and that's why we got divorced. And so like, if he was mean to you, why did you keep having kids? Like, we were married. My ex-husband and I would say we were married for 6 years. I would say for 5.5 of those years, we were happily married. Like, the person you marry is not the person you divorce. The person you marry and you have your kids with is, you don't anticipate that you're gonna get divorced. Like, you think that you're gonna be together forever. Like, that you're gonna be like your grandparents and be married until you die. That's what you're thinking at the time. When we had baby number 1, and we had baby number 2, and we had baby number 3, obviously we were a family unit. We were thinking about the situation as like parents do, like families do. Like, we want to have a baby because we were married and we were a family. So I just get a lot of these comments like, why did you guys keep having kids? We were a family is the situation. Like, and I don't know if you've watched any of the like 10 follow-up videos I've made, but I already talked about how like my marriage to my ex-husband was not like it was not a terrible, violent, abusive relationship. People get divorced for all kinds of reasons. Our reasons for getting divorced were not hostile. Child custody cases bring out the worst in people in every situation. But the reasons why we got divorced were not hostile ones. So that's my answer to that. Like, why did we keep having kids? Because we were married to each other. All right, so this is another one of those videos where I'm not like coming for this specific commenter. I'm just using this as an example because I probably got like 200 comments about prenups. And this is to say, like, you should get a prenup. If you're getting married, you should get a prenup. But I see a lot of comments like about getting a prenup, and I've gotten a lot of questions about like, why didn't you get a prenup? Or the advice being like, you should have gotten a prenup. And I think a detail in that's kind of being left out in this like, why didn't I get a prenup question is that I was 19 years old when I got married. I was 19. And beyond that, I was from a background that was like really sheltered, really religious, evangelical in the South, especially in the South, in an area where it's really a cultural norm to do something like this. Like, to get married at 19 in the South is like not that weird of a thing to do. People do it all the time. And so it was definitely not like, I wasn't thinking about getting a prenup. I was 19 years old, and like, and a lot of people think, prenups are for rich people and stuff like that, and like, we weren't rich. And so that's all I wanted to say on that topic. Like, would me now get a prenup? Yes, I would. Current Michaela would, but also current Michaela is 27 years old. 19-year-old Michaela, who was so young and naive and innocent, she wasn't thinking about getting a prenup. And so, again, not this specific commenter, but I got so many questions like, why didn't you get a prenup? Or like, you should have gotten a prenup. And I was like, I think the detail in that is that I was 19 when I got married.